to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you're having a sensational, fantastic week wherever you are with Mercury retrograde at the moment. I mean, hasn't Mercury been playing some fun and games with us all? I apologise for last week not being live on air. We had a little Mercury retrograde glitch, but these things sort of happen even to the best of us that work with Mercury constantly. We can't always avoid it. And what does a Mercury retrograde mean? It means any form of communication, whether it's, you know, our video chats, whether it's our cell phones, whether it's communication, whether it's, you know, snail mail, just even having a conversation with somebody can be really, really difficult because they're either, one, don't have their listening ears on, or they're not paying attention, or they're not absorbing the knowledge and the information that you're sharing with them. And technology loves to break down or go haywire or have a hissy fit and do things of its very own accord under a Mercury retrograde. So anyway, let's kick the show off now with the Simply Tarot card of the week. And this week it's the Magician. Now, a lot of people sort of say that the Magician is the last card of the deck. I like to make the Magician the very first card because the Magician is the element of surprise. It can be good or bad. When we use the word surprise, it's not always good. Sometimes we get some not so good surprises. So when you see this card come out in a reading, to me, it's going to break up the momentum. It's going to, you know, if everything feels stuck, this is the card that's going to come along and sort of wave their magic wand, or they have all the four tools of all the four suits of the tarot card. So they have everything at their fingertips to be able to create something out of nothing. But as I said, not all surprises are good. Sometimes we have to have the not so good surprises because it motivates us and moves us along and makes us sort of go in a slightly different direction to the way that we probably had envisaged, because it's maybe not best for our higher self and maybe it's not the right direction for us anyway. So sometimes little obstacles are put in our way in life to sort of move us on a different sort of path. And I'm no different to everybody else. I get frustrated too when something doesn't go the way I want it to do because I've told it to go that way. So it's part of, I suppose, being human, of learning to be adaptable and adjustable and know that, you know, things do happen for the right reasons. Even if we can't see them or understand them at the time, they are there to get us in the direction that we're meant to be going. And I think as the world seems to be moving faster and faster and faster at the moment, we all sort of feel sometimes as if things are a little bit out of control and that we can't sort of control where things are going. So let's move on to the astrology section. I know we already started with Mercury retrograde, but I felt I needed to explain that because I've had my inbox has been full. Amanda, what on earth is going on? I can't get this to work. I can't get that to work. Nobody's listening to me. My boss sort of, you know, says yes, 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 and then gives me a completely different answer. Well, now you've got the answer. Mercury retrograde, probably about another 7 to 10 days. It's the first one of the year. Mercury does go retrograde 3 times a year. And it's interesting because as much as I work with astrology on a daily basis, I don't always sort of logically think of, oh, gee, Mercury's retrograde until something happens. And I think, where's bloody Mercury? You know, I've got to go and look at it, and yet it's not something that just automatically sits in my brain as I work through the charts during the day. So let's start off with Mercury retrograde sitting in Taurus at the moment. So of course it's going to be the things that are going to be really important to us, like our finances, things that are important to us on a personal level. So it's conjunct or holding hands the sun at the moment. So it's making things very, very intense. Now for Tauruses, Capricorns and Virgos and Scorpios, they will probably be feeling more of the full force of this at the moment, of communication really needing to be very articulate. Make sure if you've got to have a serious conversation with somebody, or you're in a job interview, or you're in sort of speaking to somebody where the conversations is important, make sure that they fully understand what you're talking about. You know, stop and ask them to recap on what you've just said to make sure that they do fully understand it. If you are signing a contract, and I don't care which sign you are, make sure that you read the fine print. During Mercury retrograde times, if I have to sign a legal or an official document, I read it out aloud. I always find that way you pick up a mistake more than you do if you just scan it with your eyes. It's really, really important. Not the time to have the family discussion about a problem that's been really troubling you for a long time, because it could end up in a full-blown argument. So that's just Mercury retrograde. Now, we also have the planet Uranus, which is also conjunct the sun. It's a little bit wide to be saying it's conjunct Mercury. It's just sort of out of its what's known as its allowable orb. It's sort of like the tail end of it. So again, I would be stressing, don't have conversations that aren't necessary, particularly if they're of a delicate matter, because it could blow up in your face. With Uranus here, it's going to show us opportunities and openings that maybe we didn't see before. But I would like to look at that more connected with the conjunction of holding hands with the sun, sort of giving us some breakthroughs, some insight, some opportunities, particularly for the 3 earth signs and Scorpio, that there could be opportunities coming with work or breakthroughs in finances, being able to sort of really get on top of, the family situation. If you've been struggling to sort of get back on top after COVID with a financial matter, or, get the family finances back again and sort of really reorganizing things, now's the time that maybe we can get some breakthrough thought patterns or some ideas, things that we hadn't thought of or hadn't visited in a long time, that we're actually able to do that and sort of make it work for you. And that's not a bad thing, because sometimes I think we all could do with a little bit of a helping hand there. Now, we're going to move on to the planet Jupiter. Jupiter's currently sitting in Aries. Now, Jupiter in Aries will only be there for a short time, and you've got another 8 or 9 months to go. So it's sort of like make hay while the sun shines, Aries, because it is a time now of great expansion, of opportunities. It's a time to shine. No matter what you've been trying to bring about in your life or change in your life or want to expand in your life, and many Aries people are going through a time of transition. I know I work with a lot of Aries, and a lot of them are sort of looking to make changes with their job. Some people are ready to retire. Some people are ready to embark on a new career or a new study or a new learning curve. And it's sort of like they keep saying to me, I feel this terrible sense of urgency, like I haven't got time to waste. I've got to act on it now. Well, that's what Jupiter can do, because Jupiter's only there for a short period of time, usually about 12 months. So he's asking you to sort of really sort of ramp everything up, move quickly. Don't waste a second of this. So this also flows on to the other fire signs, Leo, Sagittarius, and also the opposite sign of Aries, which is Libra. So if you fall under those 4 signs, don't waste the opportunities that are there now. It's your time to shine. Bosses are taking notice. It's a time, if you really want to get ahead, if you want to get a promotion, now's the time to sort of really sort of shine a light on yourself by being as efficient as possible, doing everything that is asked of you and a little bit more. And I will guarantee you will be rewarded. For those that are looking to sort of change their lifestyle drastically, it might be a time in their life where they're ready to sort of slow down a little bit, take semi-retirement or head into retirement. This is a time where you really need to plan what you're going to do. Don't just leave it up to chance. If you've got a plan in your hand that, you want to retire by a certain stage and do certain things, then make sure you work towards that. Don't just leave it up to chance and say, I'll get around to it one day. Now's your opportunity to put things into play. But in my experience, most fire signs never really retire as such. They just shift a gear and shift their focus or their energy onto something that is more pleasurable. And it mightn't always bring a huge income, but it's something that gives them immense pleasure. They're not the sort of people to sit there and watch the grass grow or just tend to the veggie garden. They need to have more even in their retirement. So we have Saturn, the planet of discipline, is sitting in Pisces at the moment. Now, this is really good for Pisceans because it means Saturn is bringing some structure into their life, some order. It's giving them the opportunity to sort of really shine in a way that people always tend to think of Pisces people as the 2 fish chasing their tail. Oh, they've got nothing between the ears. Why would I even take any notice of them? Well, the world is finally starting to see that Pisces is actually a very intelligent sign, has a lot to offer the world. And I know I've mentioned many, many times on this show, Pisces energy to me has the power and all the wisdom, the good, bad, and the ugly, from the previous 11 signs as well as its own. So it has a plethora of wealth and knowledge and information and ideas and things that it can tap into more so than the other signs. So it's actually, a lot of astrologers affectionately call it the dustbin. I don't look at it as the dustbin. I look at it as the bin very full, overflowing, because it's got all these amazing ideas. It's picked up up along the way from all the previous signs. So to me, to give it structure and for people to sort of sit up and take notice and say, wow, I didn't realise Pisces people were so intelligent, or wow, I didn't realise that they could be so structured or so organised or so this or so that. It's really shining a nice light on the Pisces sector of the world now, where people are starting to take a lot more notice, and hallelujah, I think it's amazing. So we also add to that the Neptune, the planet that rules Pisces, is also sitting in Pisces, but it's not holding hands or making any configuration to Saturn. It's just there. And Neptune's sort of nearing towards the end of his time in his own sign. So this is sort of really bringing the creativity that people are able to sort of see now and understand, that they're really able to sort of see the creative side of a Pisces person too, that how they've got structure, but they've also got creativity. They're able to sort of in a sense, not so much hoodwink the masses, I think that's the wrong choice of words, but mesmerise them, that all of a sudden they're starting to take notice, they're listening, they're looking and saying, wow, I didn't think that about that person. Gee, might take a bit more notice about this now, because they're starting to see the structure there, but also the creative solutions that Pisces can bring forward. We have Pluto is just teetering in Aquarius. Now, Pluto's in the retrograde phase, which means he's going backwards at the moment. So here we've got Pluto sort of looking to sort of just still dipping his toe in Aquarius, not quite sure yet. He's going to slip back into Capricorn fairly soon. So we've got sort of Pluto sort of trying to sort of take a stranglehold here and put a foot in the water here in Aquarius and show what's going to be ahead for us in the next 24, 25 years while Pluto marches through Aquarius towards the end of 2024. But up until then, he's going to seesaw between being in Aquarius and back in Capricorn. So this means, yeah, we're going to see some great breakthroughs. So we're going to see some changes in the way that people think. And then all of a sudden, we're going to see the same old arguments come back up again as Pluto slips back into Capricorn, and people sort of want to go back to things that were familiar and say, oh, yes, but, you know, back in the 50s, we did it this way, and back in the 30s, we did it that way, where Pluto's sort of trying to say, well, yes, that's okay. We can learn from history. We can learn from the wisdom of that, but let's bring it into the 21st century. Let's look at how it applies today. So we're going to see a lot of conflict of interest. We're going to hear a lot of things in the media where one person is really staunchly on their soapbox this way and someone else is completely the opposite, and neither one's right or wrong. It's just differences of opinions at different snapshots in time. So we need to be aware of that and make allowances for that. Now, Pluto is making what's known as an opposition. So it means it's from one side of the chart to the other. So even though Pluto's just in Aquarius, I'm giving it an opposition to Mars, which is in Cancer, which is in the late area of Cancer. So Mars is the planet of action. Now, while Mars is sitting in Cancer, it doesn't necessarily feel too comfortable there because it's like a fire-water combination. So Mars is trying to sort of motivate people to sort of get up off the couch and really listen to their instincts and do something. But at the same time, he feels as if nobody's sort of listening. It's like this tug of war that's going on with Pluto, between Pluto and Aquarius and Capricorn. And then you add that to an opposition to Mars in Cancer. And it's like, I really want to start moving things along in my life, but I feel I've got restrictions. And it's not so much people are making excuses up. They really do feel restricted and really do feel, maybe on an intuitive level, that this is not the time to act or try and bring about change. I would agree with that, and particularly with Mercury in retrograde. So if you're feeling that way about a situation, then don't act on it. It's not the right time. Follow your hunches. Follow what your gut feeling is telling you, and it'll never let you down. We're going to take our first call up, which is Annette in Greenbrook in New Jersey in the USA. Are you there, Annette?
Yes, Samantha. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you today?
Yes, I would like to know, I'm making changes in my life right now, if I'm headed in the right direction with the choices I'm making.
That's always a good question, Annette. I mean, it's interesting, you know, we as human beings sort of, you know, get out of bed and, you know, feel the winds of change, and we start sort of going along with these things. And then all of a sudden we hit the wall and we go, oh, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right way? Have I gone too fast? Have I gone too much this way? And sort of, it's almost like we freeze ourselves in time then. Yet, you know, 2 hours ago we were enthusiastic. We knew where we were going and it was full steam ahead. And then all of a sudden in sets this. Look, I think if that ever stopped, I think that's when you've got to worry, because it means then that you're
Right.
not listening to everything. You know what I mean? You're not being human. You're just going on blindly and saying, well, this is the only way it can be. What they are showing me is, yes, there's definitely change, transformation coming up around you, Annette. I'm going to say that there's probably going to be more of that, more towards around August, September, October. Now, I'm not saying don't continue on the path that you're on now, but also just have in the back of your mind that there could be maybe a little bit of a deviation or a, left-hand turn or a right-hand turn then that you weren't expecting. And it's like, okay, all right, well, I've got to adjust my thinking. I've got to adjust my planning then, but that's okay. It's not, it's not that foreign. It's okay. I can work with it. But it wouldn't be somewhere that you would have looked at today and said, okay, I can see this coming up then, so I'll adjust my direction to accommodate that. Let it happen naturally, because by doing that, I think you'll actually gain more out of it. If you start trying to second guess everything and start trying to preempt what it could be, I think we'll actually block the flow of the momentum that we've got going now with the changes that are happening. And I want to see that continue. I don't want to see you deliberately sabotage it or block it or, stop the energy. It's interesting because they were showing me there's 3 major things. Is that what you're working on?
Yes.
Yeah, they weren't specific to me at what they were. They just said to me, there's 3 major things that Annette's working on. She's got to focus on 3.
Okay. Well, I'm working on 1 right now. I don't know what the other ones would be.
Yeah, I think they'll present themselves as time goes by. And, if you're working on the first one, that's obviously where your energy's got to be at the moment. The other 2 will sort of present themselves. Look, I'll use this as an example. If you said to me, look, I'm looking to change my job, I'm bored, I'm sick of the one I've got. So, okay, yeah, job change comes up. You weren't thinking that with a job change would mean a move of residence and a change of friends. But you see what I mean? It'd go 1, 2, 3. And it's because of that first one would be the catalyst to bring in the other 2 behind it. I don't think it's a change of job. Not that I'm saying that that's not a major turning point in someone's life. I think yours is different to that. It's sort of more, I want to say more whole. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's like, a job change is a mammoth thing anyway, but whatever you're doing, you're on the right track. And be aware of some very strong dreams that are going to come to you. And you might sort of think, well, I don't understand why I had that dream because my grandma's been gone for, 40 years. And all of a sudden I'm sitting at the kitchen table with her having a coffee and she's telling me what to do. That will actually be like a visit from the other side where she's sharing with you in a formula that she believes that you will understand and absorb. So don't try and stop it in the dream, just go with it. Like even if you're just sitting there nodding your head occasionally, that's okay. In the dream, you're absorbing what, and I know it's a female, has got to share with you from the other side. And it's like she mightn't be there very long, so let her have the floor, let her do the talking. And, if there's any questions you've got, you'll get answers later. It's not up to her to answer them for you. It's her role is to come in and give you sort of like the bullet points of where things are going, and this is what you've got coming up. So that's a really special thing because not often do members from the other side come through so strongly like that where they want the floor, that they're showing me this in such a strong way. And even if you're not a prolific dreamer, it doesn't matter. You won't miss this one. It'll be so lifelike. It's like you almost sort of think, I'm back at her house sitting down in her kitchen. You know what I mean? It'll just, whatever the setting is, it'll be real to you. Like it's something that you can really relate to. So that's why you need to watch out for that. There'll be other little dreams that aren't anywhere near as significant. I'm not saying the information's not as significant, but this one really stood out to me as if she's your guiding light at the moment. I don't like to use the word spirit guides because, I think we have many, many helpers on the other side. I don't like to just assign one, but at the moment, this is her role. And she feels very strongly she wants to share that with you. So that's good. So, whatever you're doing, Michelle, keep going because you're on the right track.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Amanda. You made my day.
You're very, very welcome. Enjoy your day in Virginia, in Greenbrook. Sounds really nice in New Jersey.
It is. It is. Thank you so much. You have a great evening.
Okay, thank you, Annette. We're going to talk with Michelle now in Virginia Beach in Virginia. So, we've got all these lovely places in the US today. Are you there, Michelle?
I'm here.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
Yes. I got a lot to ask. I lost my best friend to a motorcycle accident, and I
Mhm.
want to know. If she suffered.
Well, okay. First things first, as you were sort of mentioning that, I'm really sorry for your loss. Before you even had
Thank
a chance to ask that question, they chimed in and said, "Tell her, please, I'm okay. I didn't know it was coming. It was like I had a blackout before it happened. I didn't even see it, feel it, know it until I was gone."
Okay.
And when I say a
Um.
blackout, I'm not saying that they caused the accident. I'm just saying that, members of their family on the other side took that split second knowing what was going to happen to prevent that person from being aware of what was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like it couldn't be
Okay.
stopped. And that
Yes.
was like a protection, if you want to put it that way. That split second of the blackout, they didn't see the impact, they didn't feel it, didn't know anything until they'd started the process of going through to the other side. And yes, of course, they weren't happy about it. But, if you're going to go, I think that's probably the best way to go, particularly if it's going to be a nasty situation. If you're protected from that, that's a good thing.
Okay. Is she around me?
Oh, all the time, sweetie, all the time. All the time. The only time he's not around is when you're in the bathroom or getting dressed.
And what about my other friend that passed away?
They're not quite as strongly around you. They sort of come in and out. That second person that passed away, was there a little bit of controversy around their passing? Was there sort of unanswered questions?
Yes.
Because that's what he was showing me. They were showing me two question marks, as if there was two issues that people sort of should have questioned or should have asked more about or whatever. I don't know that we're ever going to get the answers to that, but that's what they were sharing with me. It was sort of like, everybody questioned it and they were right to question it because there wasn't enough answers.
And what about, did he suffer also?
No, he didn't suffer, but he's saying to me that he wasn't even aware of what was going on around him. Like he's sharing with me that he hadn't felt well for a while, but it wasn't bad enough that he'd go to a medical practitioner and sort of hound them about it. Like he talked to them and everybody sort of fobbed him off and said nothing too much to worry about. But he didn't have like certain symptoms that led to a certain diagnosis. And he's very clear with me saying that we can't blame the medical people. They didn't misdiagnose me. I didn't have symptoms that were normal for that condition, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so he certainly didn't suffer. And all he's telling me was he had a headache.
That's my cousin. He passed away also.
Okay, so they must be bringing someone else in now. He had a headache. Okay, yes. Well, that's good because I didn't feel that related to the one I was talking to.
Yes, he did have a headache.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the headache.
Yeah, but was there three that passed?
Was he what?
Was there three people that passed that came through?
Yeah.
Yeah, because to me it was like 1, 2, 3. The headache to me was a separate situation to the gentleman I'd just been talking about. So they've all wanted to have a turn today, Michelle. Anyway, Michelle, they're sharing with me that you've just got to sort of, get on with your life the best that you can do. Know that they're all around you, all at different times. But the first person that we spoke about is the one that's the strongest. It's sort of like he never leaves your side. He stands outside the bathroom door waiting for you to come out. The other two sort of fade in and out, as you've got other members of the family fade in and out. But I do know this year, Michelle, from about September, things are going to start to slowly move forward again for you. It's like you feel like you've been stuck in a holding pattern for a while, but things are starting to move. So that's where we're going to leave Michelle in Virginia Beach now. We've come to the end of the show. The show goes very, very quickly. And this week, I want to leave you with a song that a lot of people may not know, unless you're my age. But this terribly sad news came through in the last 24 hours of one of the Canadians' best singer-songwriters, Gordon Lightfoot. And he's always been one of my favourite entertainers. And when I read that, I had a few tears in my eyes. So I thought we'd leave you with a song this week that I always thought was one of Gordon's most beautiful songs. And it's If You Could Read My Mind. It's the most beautiful love song. It's gentle, it's caring, just as he was. And it's always a tragedy when we lose somebody that's so talented. I know we've all got to go. Our physical body wears out, but it just seems to be lately that we're losing too many talented, incredible people, and I'm just not sure that the world's a better place for us losing so many of these amazing people all at once. I'm sure the younger generation would say, oh, well, we've got our idols and the people that we like, and maybe I'm showing my age here when I say that I don't know that we've got the same prolific songwriters that we had in our generation coming through the ranks. It's sort of not the same type of music, and there's not the same depth to the words and the meaning. And, music really does change your life. And, you can relate to different songs at different times that take you back to a certain stage in your life, and, you reminisce and you go for a little walk down memory lane. And Gordon Lightfoot was one of the world's greatest storytellers in his prolific songwriting and his beautiful voice, and he will be very, very, very deeply missed around the world. So if you've got time today, put something of Gordon Lightfoot on your device, on your turntable, as I like to say. But I'm going to be playing If You Could Read My Mind, love. So until next week, I won't be reading your mind, but enjoy the week. Bye for now.